And we are live. That's what's up. So, we want Mr. President is giving a speech on the assault in Venezuela. So we want to definitely get onto that. So let me just say greetings and salutations to the Focus Up family. Welcome to the July 3rd, 2026 Happy New Year Focus Up show. We thank you for tuning in with us live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube and various other platforms, catching up with us on replay. And we ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focus Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy. Nice is in the word Saint spelled backwards. And I got Mr. Floyd X, the boss man, and Mr. Afro Agnostics. We might have some more people, but we come to you early because we want to give you live what the president's got to say. So let's tune it up, brother.
Power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have on average two a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives, they walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. Just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And
shout out to Memphis,
the
Tennessee.
governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster and the mayor was a disaster, but it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know.
Wait a second. Didn't he say there's no deaths in D.C.? Didn't we lose some National Guards in D.C.?
We saved Los Angeles early on.
He did. Then he went backtracking.
The police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit.
We'll talk about it.
But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American.
So that was why we had all the crime. All the crime that we had is because of them.
No longer be threatened.
damn, just lying his ass off, man. Shit is insane, dude.
We meant to go earlier so you could hear what he was really talking about. He wasn't even mincing words. This was about the oil. This is about taking over. This is about basically, they were saying that they weren't exploiting it right. So now we're gonna go over there. We're gonna put billions into it and pull the oil out properly. So we understand there's also the politics. The Afro agnostics is gonna talk about.
I'm right here.
Yeah. What did you say? This is also about. This is not just about the oil. What is this also about, brother?
Oh yeah, it's about So I guess the bigger context is that Latin America, you have 12 or 13 countries. The United States has invaded all of them except for Suriname, just only one. So this has always been the United States' backyard. That's what the Monroe Doctrine is about. It's about nobody. This is, we're going to treat Latin America like they treat Puerto Rico. They don't really have sovereignty, but yet they don't really have decision making in the United States. This is the second time that they have invaded Venezuela. They invaded it under Hugo Chavez. They installed a dictatorship even before him, when Mobile and Exxon were deep in Venezuela and just exploiting the resources and the people for the benefit of the rich here in the United States. But so they don't want another example like Cuba, and we know they invaded Cuba several times. And the last time that coup was overthrown, or that coup didn't happen, the Bay of Pigs, under Kennedy. But anyway, the connection between Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, they don't want these countries to be examples because they're left-wing countries, and they will be an example to other countries in Latin America, and they don't want that. And if you can find that map that I sent.
Yeah, that picture was nice. Yeah, too bad we don't got that.
This is how the United States is in control of a Latin American country. They always install a right-wing government, and that's what they're trying to install Machado to replace Presidente Maduro.
All right, we got some comments here, some not so nice, but guess what? We don't run for comments. So, we got Cara saying, hey, what's up? We got George Thomas. He said, Donald J. Trump is the greatest president that the United States will ever see. Long live the Republic, and to the Democrats, you suck, you lose. Okay, interesting. Then we got Sean Tweed.
Can I just say something about that's typical MAGA? They make sensational comments, no evidence, no metric to measure or back it up. Just say anything. The best ever. But they're not measuring it against anything. But that's typical MAGA.
Sean Tweed, are you a Black American or African American? Where in Africa were you born?
Slave descent in North America, man. That's it.
Yeah, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? You want to pick and choose. So all of a sudden your existence just started here in the United States of America. Look, you're basically, that's just like saying, would you have a problem with someone saying Irish American? You know what I'm saying? Chinese American, you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't even be the issue. Black American, white American, that Donald Trump is definitely distinguishing white American because, white American, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, but, I'm just saying, what's going on with you, Mr. Boss Man? What's up with you, sir?
I'm curious as to why she's asking these questions. Where in Africa were you born? No answer. These people ain't never met an African. I'm curious as to what's the reason for the questioning. If we're playing Donald Trump, giving a speech and we're giving our opinion on it, and it's like, I don't know, man. I'm just tripping off this shit, but we know that Trump is an imperialist, and this attack on Venezuela is not warranted. It's not based behind anything that's real in the sense of a real threat to America. They just want to take over, and it's just
okay. They just clarified their stance. They said, you're just an American. Get over the race card BS. See, this is the problem. If white people truly respected Black people, you would embrace us as Black people as well. We are Black people. We are men. We're sitting there complaining about women in men's bathroom. They should just Americans then. It shouldn't be men or women or nothing. They should just be American. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be about trans or straight or whatever. It should just be American. But you draw the line somewhere at race. The bottom line is, look, there are multiple people, multiple cultures that come in and have different contributions. You might like pizza. You might like hamburgers. You might like burritos. Guess what? These come from different places. It's okay to be black. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be brown. The bottom line is you can be that and American too. American's supposed to be a melting pot. That's what I used to be told. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, where's this person get around talking about you're just American? How are you regulating what we are, brother? We American, and we have a particular things in America. Some of us on this panel, we about hip hop. That's our culture. We don't listen to country music. You know, if that's what you like, that's fine. But the bottom line is we do have our own culture. It's okay to have a distinct culture within the macro culture. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up.
I said, okay. Well, let's get past the comments. Let's think about how you doing, Mr. El Poo? How you doing today, brother?
I'm all right, man. I didn't realize y'all was on live already. Damn.
No, we started a little early because we wanted to get this press conference from Donald Trump. You know, he's speaking on the attack on Venezuela, so we just said, let's just go live because I wanted to do a live reaction. I thought it was going to start at 9, but he started early. So we jumped on and let's chime in and see what he's talking about real quick.
Even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation. This morning, it's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice.
This was an attack on sovereignty.
That's what it was.
Asked to say a few words.
That's what it was.
What did he say?
He said it's an attack on sovereignty.
President.
This was an attack on sovereignty.
Chief. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all Americans who watched last night. Our warriors are the elite of America. And again, President Trump
and they're all alpha men. None of them are gay.
No other country on planet Earth and it could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve.
He's flexing on Venezuela. He's flexing on Venezuela. That's how powerful we are. We whipping up on Venezuela. You know what I'm saying? That shows you how great America is.
Exactly. They making bully tactics, giving it some bravado.
It's like that.
Yeah, they're just making it easier for China to go ahead and take over Taiwan and justifying what Russia's doing to Ukraine right now.
We should immediately pull out of Ukraine. We should be like, you know what? Our bad, Russia. We take over stuff that we want, just like you have at it. Let's all be friends. China, Russia, BRICS. You know what I'm saying? Let's just stop all of this pageantry and all this ridiculousness. We doing the exact same thing, so let's not be hypocritical about it.
And poison to our people, deadly serious about.
And people are going to start making those connections because you're right. It's straight up mask off. It's always been about the Monroe Doctrine, but it's been hidden in diplomatic language and language that was consistent with international law. This is a straight unilateral. They didn't, this is just they decided to do it, and that's it, based on whatever imaginary metrics that they thought of, whatever pretext. It's just mask off.
This cat says Black people are generally delusional, but we don't see race. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I love that he said Dunning Kruger. That's our favorite thing. Of course, you know,
Yeah.
that's literally what I'm talking about. You're not sophisticated enough to understand that you're not sophisticated enough to understand. You talk about black on black crime, because that was one of the former comments before. Why don't you guys worry about white on white crime? You know, because white on white crime, it happens in much more perpetuity and regularity than black on black crime.
And also, may I add this important? The majority, sir, what's his name? Persian version. Okay, Persian version. The majority of sexual assaults and sexual offenses are carried out by the white people. The majority, over 50%, are carried out by white people. So, you know, what's up with that?
Yeah, we know who the mass shooters are. We know who the mass rapists. We know how the Jeffrey Dahmers and stuff like that. Again, that's not a condemnation of all white people. It's a condemnation of this argument. You know what I'm saying? That you just take the sample size. Because the bottom line is, there ain't no criminals on this panel. You know, we're 100% not criminals.
Well, let me address this comment right here. Comparing an invasion and the liberation of a people whose president refused to surrender to a Democrat vote is wild. Now, what is he talking about refusing to surrender? He was on camera saying he wanted to assist whatever Trump needed or wanted to do. He was willing to negotiate. He just 2 days ago, he was in his car doing a live, talking about he willing to surrender. I mean, I'm assuming he knew it was coming, but he was willing to surrender or give whatever needed to happen to fight the war on crime. If he wanted oil, he was willing to share the oil with America, investors to come in. So it's not like he was sitting there and being rebellious and trying to stand up to Trump the way I believe Hugo Chavez did, because Hugo Chavez was more staunch and stronger, in my opinion, and was able to rally more support to where America couldn't just move in like this. So, I mean, you got to look at the situation on the whole and understand what's going on here, Mr. Robo Mikey T2P.
I wonder if these are bots or something. You know,
it sounds like a robot, Robo Mikey T2P, whatever. It sounds like a robot. And one more thing about that too.
We enjoy your clicks just the same, robots. We don't discriminate against robots, so you know.
The only thing they're liberating the Venezuelan people of is their oil.
Just like that. Yeah.
And they don't provide us. They're not a significant source of drugs in this country or crime for that matter. Now, again, I'm not telling you that there aren't cartels and horrible people down there. I'm sure that a lot of the stuff that he was saying was actually the truth about those type of things. But again, this stuff happens all over the globe. So now we're the police of the world. I mean, I thought he was supposed to be the no war guy, the America first, it's American business.
And they're not the police of the world because they're selectively applying this so-called rule. Trump just left Saudi Arabia. What do you think Saudi Arabia is? You think Saudi Arabia is less? You think Venezuela is more oppressive to its own people than Saudi Arabia? Are you seriously? They have a government that's based on bloodline. You know what I'm saying? There's no votes. You know what I'm saying? You inherit the office and the governing, you know, positions and so forth. But you know how hypocritical the right is. You know, you remember back in the 80s, they was talking about just say no, you know, to drugs, take personal responsibility. But now they're carrying out a government policy on the pretext that those people down there are the reason why you hooked on drugs. You know what I'm saying? You're blaming these external forces instead of taking personal responsibility. Presidente Maduro is the reason why you can't stop taking fentanyl.
Man, it's crazy. He wants oil. He said the U.S. oil companies are going to Venezuela soon.
Yeah, we missed it. We should have been live so you could have that. That's the context. We know what that's about. What does this and Nigeria have in common? You know what I'm saying? He wants to sit there and go, okay, the Christians are being assaulted in Nigeria. These are the two biggest oil, you know, opportunities. So I'm just saying that, you know, it's you know, read the tea leaves. You know, and if you want that, if that's what you want.
What I was saying earlier too about the Venezuela thing, I think even in Nigeria, it's a little bit more than just the oil because I've read some things that they already control the oil there already. You know, international companies do, but they want to stop the Sahel Alliance, which is you know, Mali, what else, Niger, and Burkina Faso, because therefore they pulled out of ECOWAS. So that is to, you know, present their presence there in support of ECOWAS and pressure the Sahel nations to fall apart.
Like
Not
that.
gonna lie, the old thing may be very true. See, like I said, you know, respect the robots. AI's gonna be a place in this world.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people of African descent too in Venezuela. There's an Afro-Venezuelan population.
Man.
Somebody, what's that person? He just mentioned that too.
Yeah, Sports 98.
Yeah.
Oh. Yep. So we want to go try to see back in, see what these liars is talking
As they
about.
approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission.
We probably did enough.
difficult for these
We probably covered enough of this. You know what I'm saying? There's no question that the United States military is kick-ass and capable and powerful. And thank goodness that there are actual generals that know, actual skills and to implement, as opposed to these politicians that don't have the knowledge or whatever. How they've been deployed, that's a whole nother argument. You know what I'm saying? But no question, they did what they wanted to do. They did it successfully. That happened. Let's talk about, let's get to the show agenda. First thing up, let's talk about rest in peace to our brother. I believe his name was Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who was very popular from The Wire. Actually did a whole lot of things. But what's the phrase that he's most popular for, Mr. Floyd X?
Shit.
He talked about how people would see him in restaurants and say it, and he just would laugh. You know what I'm saying? So he appreciated it. You know what I'm saying? So
it was classic line, and it was either funnier when he brought it to other movies, like he brought it on different shows. He'd be like, "Shit, everybody know what it's from." Yeah, salute to that brother, man. He made that show.
Condolences to his family.
Word.
So so you know what? Let's talk about the wrap up.
The wrap up.
So we had the Mad Skills wrap up. We had the Uncle Murder wrap up, and I believe you said, Mr. Floyd X, that you like Uncle Murder's version better.
Man,
yeah, I think that it was a better version, except that I didn't like how he went after Cassie. I did, again, I almost have the same criticisms that I have with Chappelle's thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of defended the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're clever. You're doing some things. You're talking about all the snitching. You're de facto snitching. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me stuff that I didn't know about. So I'm just saying it. But I mean, he's a dope ass rapper. He's clever. And it's very interesting how he talked about if these dudes keep going after, if 50 decide to go back after Mano and them, he might jump on there and spit a verse. Shout out to Uncle Murder. What you got to say about this, Mr. Floyd X?
well, I thought it was a good song. I heard Mad Skills version first. I liked it. It sounded good. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool, Mad Skills. He's still doing it because he said he stopped for a few years or something in the intro of the video. And the woman that he was talking like, man, you better get back to writing that people want to hear it. So it sounded good to me. And then Mr. Nice Guy just had to drop Uncle Murders in the group chat. And then that just killed it. I listened to the whole thing like, oh, this shit is tight. Uncle Murder. I've been like Uncle Murder for a long time. That shit was hella tight. So good job to Uncle Murder. Good job to Mad Skills. Both of y'all keep doing your thing. I just hate that Uncle Murder just stepped in Mad Skills space and almost dominated it.
Hey man, this is survival of the fittest. What you got to say about this, El Poo?
I heard Mad Skills version. I think that was really dope. Uncle Murders, I heard a little bit of his. It was just way too long. It was like 16 minutes or so.
17.
He was just on one subject. I heard like two subjects. He was just on it for way too long. And I like Mad Skills the way that he put it together. He just, touched on everything that happened and just kept on moving. And plus, he gave a good rest in peace to Angie Stone and D'Angelo too at the end. So I like that. And he did it to a D'Angelo beat too. So respect.
Hey, real quick, sorry for interrupting, but he's taking Q&A. Let's go check out the Q&A, see if they ask some real questions.
We're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
Mr. President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. and we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot
You
of
say
money.
country or company?
Meant both. Meant both.
Take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Why are you explaining the exact
They just took
mechanism by
over
which you're
their
gonna
own
run the
natural
country?
resources.
All being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
That would run Venezuela.
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well, I
going?
understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Puppet.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Next.
Did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved in it.
Sure. We call members.
Little Marco.
Immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days, but it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, We had a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
Mr. President, you were one of the only people to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. The safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. People were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to his safe place. Safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it.
So
A lot of detail there.
Go ahead, finish.
Where is Maduro going to be in the time being right now? Do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards.
Not with
Did
me,
that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer.
Did he replace the regime? Did he actually replace the regime?
Which one?
I'm just saying he's sitting there because they're talking about when you topple one regime, like like what Obama did with Gaddafi. They didn't make sure that the regime that was replacing it was going to be a better situation. So I'm just saying that did he actually, like, for example, he bombed Iran or whatever, but I mean those people are still in control. He just basically set back a facility, and he didn't set back as far as he said it was set back. But I mean, I don't know. I'm ignorant. I'm admittedly ignorant on that. I'm asking a question.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it either.
He just makes statements like this. I mean, they've bombed many places in the Middle East in the last several years. There is not peace in any of those places. I mean, this is categorical lie.
Hey, is there peace in DC? Is there like no crime? Do you think did he actually accomplish that? No crime? Man, I mean, he did. Salute to him. I mean, he really did it. If he pulled that off, then man, I take it back. He's the president.
No, I don't believe him for a second. I don't believe him for 1 second.
See, and the reason why there's no reason to even give him the benefit of the doubt is that I can reject something without evidence if it's been presented without any evidence. He's just simply saying it. He's not citing the actual crime statistics, violent, whatever type of death by gunfire. It was this amount prior, now it's this amount now. Like, where's the data?
Yeah, he's a liar.
Oh, it's with the jobs reports. You know what I'm saying?
And if it is, it's only temporarily because you have a military presence. As soon as you pull the military presence away, I mean, because contrary to popular belief, police don't prevent crime; they just arrest people. And
the military presence ain't everywhere. I mean, you telling me that you only have the military in some places, and somehow that's magically preventing crime in all the places where the military isn't? You know what I'm saying? That's it. So are they in the hood? They're in all the hoods. They're just on every block, on every corner. Because if they aren't, there's no way that they're preventing zero crime. You know what I'm saying? It's a ridiculous assertion.
And I just kind of want to correct I kind of contradicted myself. Well, when you have a strong military presence, that temporarily prevents crime. That's a fact. That's accurate. But when you want to prevent crime long term, you got to take other measures. Like after school programs for who's committing crime. Just do the demographics. It's teens to 20-year-olds.
The blacks.
I mean, the working class, any race. So I mean, it's tracked by poverty. So I mean, just give these communities more resources, and crime is going to go down. You're going to get a better picture of what the suburbs, the affluent suburbs look like.
Amazing. So you're talking about a better neighborhood, better resources, better opportunity, and people tend not to cut up as much. People have something to lose. People have something to protect. That's honestly, just when you go for a neighborhood that's all houses versus a neighborhood that's apartments, you have an invested interest in a house, whereas an apartment, you don't have an invested interest. You just basically, are concerned about your domicile. You're not necessarily concerned about the shared space and stuff like that. So I'm just saying that there's something about ownership, success,
single family homes,
that follows this. So that's what it's about. So when these people talk about black on black crime, don't want to talk about white on white crime, which is greater and which has gone on for a whole lot longer. This country was built on white crime. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the reality of it. But what do we got up next?
Let's
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
How about that? We're talking about Trump. Let's talk about Trump's conversation with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know what I'm saying? Where he's sitting there, my friends will get hurt. This is what they heard him say. This is his main thing about the Epstein thing. Not necessarily about protecting himself, because honestly, he's bulletproof. It doesn't matter what you're going to find. But they're going to rock with him. No, like he said, he could kill people in Times Square. He can have fondled all the children. He can grab them all by the pee. However, like he said, it's just not going to be an issue with them. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line, he wants to protect his rich billionaire white people. And honestly, that's really what his presidency has been about. It's about protecting rich billionaire white people, not the dregs, not the poor people that just fall for it. Sad to tell you. He taught you a little bone, but the bottom line is you're not his real ally.
Just like that.
It's a whole.
Go ahead, Pooh.
It's the whole culture that they're trying to protect right there. It's a whole lot of people that's involved and been involved with this stuff, him included, of course, all his friends and everything. And for him to come out and say, you're going to, hurt my friends or whatever the case is, that just opens it up to everything. So salute to Marjorie Taylor Greene for even putting that out there. I got to give her props for that.
I don't salute that witch. She's still a witch. She's just trying to play a nice witch right now.
Hey, man, I believe you're always an instant away from the best version of you. And if there's any evolution on her part, or at least just the honesty of it, because she is confessing some things. So I'm just going to give her some points for it. I'm not going to give her a free pass for the things that she's done in the past, but I am going to commend the truth. And not just because I agree with her, not because she's saying things that might be Democratic talking points. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm just saying that the bottom line is she's just keeping it 100. She wasn't doing that before. At least on these few instances, she is, and I salute that. To her peril. She's been opposing the right for the longest, and it ain't been dangerous. I'm saying the left. Once she opposed the right, now she's got to get security, and it's all dangerous. So go ahead. What were you about to say, Mr. Floyd X?
Ice Cube and NWA told us a long time ago.
Ouch! Don't say it.
Ouch. Witch. I'm being nice.
Afro Agnostic, what you got to say about this, brother?
I don't know about what Floyd said. That's kind of I don't know. We have to use misogyny to Jesus, man. But she's like that. That cop who joined the forces and they brought into the propaganda. They think that the police are really there in the Black community to serve and protect. Like training day. So she's been on her training day. So she's waking up from her disillusionment. I wouldn't give her any flowers for that. But leaking that out, it does work strategically. It exposes Trump and it exposes MAGA. So I'm thankful that happened. But I think she's doing it for her own causes, her own inner motivations, which I don't think represent me, but it helps.
Of course she is, just like Nicki Minaj.
Ouch.
Man.
Say really quick, though, I just on the Presidente Maduro, the Venezuela thing, is that in Latin America, most of the tobacco that's smoked in those countries comes from the U.S. and it kills hundreds and thousands of people a year, way more than fentanyl. Most of the guns they use in the cartel come straight from the U.S. So, I mean, if you even buy into that principle that they're justified to invade, then it should work in reverse. Mexico shouldn't be justified to invade the United States and take Trump and his wife away because all the guns in Mexico come from the United States. I mean, we can follow the absurdity of this logic in so many different ways.
Man.
And you leave Melania out of it. She won't even hold his hand in public. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, but yeah. And also there's a situation with him, the veto of the bipartisan bills. Go ahead. You want to speak on this, Mr. Floyd X? I've been talking a lot. Why don't you veto
We call him Veto Corleone. You don't make a deal with him, he's gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. So what he has done, there's this lady who was arrested like 2 or 3 years ago, sentenced to 9 years in Colorado. Her name is Tina Peters. Let me pull her picture up real quick. and she's a friend of Trump or a Trump supporter. What they call it, the election denier, and Trump wants her freed, but because she's not charged with federal crimes, she was charged with a state crime of something tampering with the machines or something of that nature, and sentenced to 9 years. And she's 70 years old. Trump wanted free. The state won't free her. So what he's doing is vetoing bills, two bills in particular, sponsored by congresswomen and congressmen who supported him. But just because they won't let him, the governor of the state and the Congress people of the state, he vetoed their bills until they free that lady. So he's fighting for her, but it's just another Veto Corleone. Make your offer you can't refuse.
Okay, but one of those bills at least was passed in Congress unanimously in both houses, so they should be able to override that veto with no problem if Congress has any balls.
What has to happen? It has to go back, and they have to vote with I think it's a 2/3 majority.
Yes.
Yes,
but he said if he went with unanimous, if it was that whatever, they're gonna have that. But again, I don't think that. Yeah, it ain't gonna be. Hey, they voted for the Epstein stuff, with against him. So he again, he is basically heading into lame duck status. They at some point they will toss him to the wolves, just like the Dems did Biden. It's going to happen. Just mark my words.
Mr. Afro, what you got to say about the Veto Corleone, brother?
Man, I didn't know about it. I'm just taking it, listening to you. I think it's quid pro quid. It's right there on full display. Like, favor for a favor. There's no, these things were done like behind closed doors, but it's just out in the open. Like, I'm going to obstruct justice or whatever may be good for the greater people until I get what I want. My particular, it's just, I think, man, what's up with Black MAGA? I wonder where they are on this stuff.
Word. Yeah, where they
Hey, sign in, walk. Let's talk about the snap ban on unhealthy foods.
Now, flag, huh? Come wave your flag, walk. Come on, man.
Yeah, so like the snap ban on unhealthy foods. So they're basically saying that you can't use your government funds on these particular foods for whatever reason. These things. And to me, what's particularly hypocritical. Now, this is only in some states, but the bottom line, this is basically meddling with other people's use of their finances. You know what I'm saying? If this is how they basically keep their household running or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just this is like ridiculous meddling. But my point is that when Michelle Obama basically had that lunchtime program where she was trying to put healthy food in the schools and remove soda machines, the Republicans were going nasty. I've got like a whole article from the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, sitting there talking about how wrong she was for doing this. And I'm just saying that, how it's all flipped when it comes to, the snap ban on unhealthy foods. Because now you're not just talking about children, you're talking about households. You're talking about regulating what grown-ups do. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty hypocritical to me. What do you got to say about this Afro-agnostics?
Yeah, man. And I implemented the curriculum part of that Michelle program. I think it was called I forgot what it was called, but it was fun because I had access to a kitchen. There was a school that had etiquette room in Hayward. The kids learned about caloric intake, and we showed demonstrations of sugar. All this was to reduce. And the outcomes of that program, there actually was a reduction in diabetes and obesity amongst teens. So, but to implement this type of bullshit, which punishes the poor people and recipients, to implement it takes money. So it's going to take more money away from SNAP in terms of the administration of this policy. And this is what they want, because then they can always, this is an excuse. It doesn't work. It's ineffective. We got to do away with that program. They're already talking about they're misusing funds. And this is just an attack on poor people. If you want to really reduce diabetes and obesity and stuff like that, put an excise tax on those products. Niggas ain't gonna pay that much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
put a tariff on them. Yeah. Concentrate all your tariffs on junk food.
Yeah.
That's it, man. No, you got to go to buy some 9 liters or some chips, and they cost $8, niggas will be like, no, you go find it, and then make healthy food cheaper.
Yeah, like bananas. Go to 7-Eleven. Bananas is pretty cheap. You know what I'm saying? Compared to
punish poor people. You can't buy candy. Man, I use candy in the classroom all the time, man. It's a great way to manage students.
And honestly, if you're all this capitalism, that's American business. They make it. These are, you know what I'm saying? These are legal businesses. I'm not saying it's a good business. I mean, that's the way I feel about the cigarette industry. But I'm just saying that you can't talk all this capitalism, free enterprise, government regulation, and then do this like selective stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just showing that you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. What you got to say about this infamous El Poo?
Just another distraction, because what's really going on is what's going on right now in Venezuela. So that's what it is.
And you know what? Before we go to the break, let's talk about the Minnesota situation. In the Minnesota situation, there was this cat, this YouTuber, this vlogger that basically tried to do an expose. And what he did is he went up there with masked people and knocked on these doors of these child care programs in Minnesota. He's like, we want to see your children. We want to see your blah, 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 all this, whatever. Like anybody's just going to be like, okay, sir, I got children in here. We know that there's crazy people out there and whatever. We're just going to let you see all of this stuff. So he did this expose and made it seem like, a lot of these people, they don't even have any children. They're just receiving funds from the government and they're not even legit businesses. Even though when the real news, journalists, some actual journalists went and followed up on this, they saw that there were kids that went there before the incident, they went there after the incident. They basically, when you do the job, this is the difference between, look, we're YouTubers. You know what I'm saying? We give you our opinions, but we understand that we are not journalists. We're not out there beating the pavement and doing all the investigation, the sources and all that other stuff. It's another type of level. So, you know what I'm saying? You got to know your place. You got to defer to the experts on this. And now this is just basically an excuse. Trump is just basically trying to get rid of child care like everywhere, not just Minnesota. What were you saying about this Afro-agnostics? I'm going to follow it up.
There's so many things to say, man. It's really fucked up because 2 days ago, the Pentagon, the Department of War, just failed another audit, 7 years in a row, and they get $2.something trillion. So this is the largest government example of fraud, smack dead in your face. And now they're going off after these little petty child care places with this Sherlock Holmes white supremacy investigation. These Candace Owens tactics.
Google sleuths.
I know as a teacher, you cannot film kids. It's illegal. They cannot allow you to even do that. Like, man, that's not investigation. You're coming, you don't even know. He didn't even mention the operating hours of the school. Most schools are on school break, winter break, man. This is idiocy. This is what Candace and them do because they know the right wing automatically has it preset in their mind that the immigrants are stealing resources and SNAP beneficiaries, these social welfare people are stealing our resources. So he goes down his confirmation bias. See what he wants to see. Man, you got to at least be at the school 10 or 20 days and get a count. And then look at how much they receive based on whatever formula as far as how many students. You got to actually look at paperwork. That's not investigation. And this is what Candace does in these right wing, because this dude is right wing media person. But anyway.
He been held as a hero by Fox News and all that.
They already wanted to do that. They just gave them pretext, just like it's tied into Venezuela. The same thing. Man. Pretext what they wanted to do anyway.
Okay.
You got anything else to say about this, Mr. Floyd X, before I give it to El Poo?
Nope.
El Poo, what you think about this?
There's no way you can convince me that these people are concerned about African immigrants stealing money or misappropriating money or whatever the case is, and try to say that they're just immigrants coming over here taking resources when you didn't had. I'm gonna give you just one example of immigrants that's been coming over here and beating the system for generations, and that's called the mafia.
Hey, no, that's just.
La Brea Trucking for all of your trucking needs. East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast, North to South, South to West. We also have the number at the end. Call the brother if y'all need something delivered or transported across the country.
Turn up the dial, it's 10:30. Be back. Spin that back show, all the classics on track. From 79 to 99, we're crossing the gap. Album reviews, little known facts, hip hop intact. Saturday morning.
Yep. We lost him.
You lost El Poo?
Bring it. Spin that back. Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Tune in. Saturdays. If it's not a live show, go check out the past show. We cover, what do you cover, nice guy?
We cover hip hop from what we call the recorded era. That is from 1979, the first hip hop record, to 1999. So that 20-year period, that's what we talk about. So we give flowers to those artists for the work that they did then. And, you know, a lot of these artists are doing work now. So, you know, bottom line is we basically shine a light on that period, 1999. That's gobealive.org. Go get you some of that black honey. And if you want it in person, go to the Petty Vice in Venice or to the Afro City Marketplace at the Crenshaw Mall. Shout out to Sister Nidra.
Peace and blessings. For those of you who haven't come to 2251 Florin Road, Suite 111, and got your issue of the fatherless fava bean pie, you are missing out. These have just come out the oven and they're on their way to the shop right now. So come on through and get your issue of the world's greatest pie. The pie that literally makes you high. Peace and blessings.
All right. What's up? We at?
You know I got to put this comment up there, Mr. Floyd.
Floyd X the fentanyl.
Floyd X is George Floyd after joining the fentanyl X-Men. This is this dumb stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, but you know what? We gave you a little shine. Thank you for your click and your view.
Salute to George Floyd.
Yeah, the real. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about, we were going to follow up. You want to do a part 2 on the Chappelle Unstoppable?
Yeah.
What did you not get to speak about before? Because I wanted to look at it again because I wanted to give it another chance. But
I don't know if we covered the mastery of the joke telling of it, because I've heard a lot of commentators and I was tripping because it appears that most people got it and understood it. He had you laughing at things that you would never laugh at otherwise. And I think it was just the mastery, the display of his comedic skill, and why he's a top tier comedian at this point. And you know, I think that's the only point I wanted to address on it. Is there any rebuttals or extra commentary?
I think he is a master of the setup. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I love how he sort of like, you know, it's very intellectual. So he's just basically giving you information and then he's going to give you a really good punchline. I love the way he dealt with that Dr. Sebi situation because that whole conversation made me go, uh-oh. You know, he really is going into the full conspiracy thing, and then he flipped it. So, you know, that was masterful. I felt like, you know, a lot of people say that Dave Chappelle is, I don't know, hostile to the trans community. And, I can't speak for them. So I can't, if they have the right to be upset with, if they don't like what he says, I defer to their position on that. But I feel like for the most part, he's treated them fairly, at least from an intellectual standpoint. This was the one situation where he's making a joke about somebody dying and it being nothing. To me, this was like basically doing what they're accusing you of very clearly. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was very funny. You know, I'm just saying, this was the first time that I felt like, oh, damn, now I'm hearing what these other cats are saying. And I feel like he didn't do that before. So that was disappointing to me.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's inappropriate the way he does attack the trans community because Like we said a joke about, we knew it was a trans because his thing popped out. If it was a joke, a white man was saying we knew it was black because he hit the ground and his fat lips popped out, we would be offended as black people of him making that stereotype of black people, and it will pretty much piss us off. But I think it's easier for us to laugh because it's not us. If y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no question about that.
I think the thing with Chappelle is that other black comedians were there too in Saudi Arabia. Kevin Hart,
Avery Spears.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart was there? I didn't know that Kevin Hart was part of that roster.
But people have a different expectation for Chappelle. Over the years, he's has become, by perception, like a hero, one for black people, and also for masculinity, for being against cancel culture, for standing up for freedom of speech. But here, I think it just kind of mask off. Again, that's like the common theme I'm just coming across, that he's just a sellout. Like any other, he's not really this righteous truth teller, because he actually had to sign a contract to restrict what he can say in Saudi Arabia. And he did it strictly for the money. I mean, LGBT, he was just saying like they're favorable towards his rhetoric against that community there, because there is actually a criminal offense. People are actually executed and put in prison for their sexual orientation. So for him to sign that and turn a blind eye to what, they have at least 700,000, estimating 1 million African slaves there. They're pretty much there by some labor system they have. And I forgot the name of the labor system. It starts with a K. But black people are basically slaves there. I mean, they are financing one of the largest human rights crises in Africa, the Sudan. So for their own benefit, and for him to go there and not say anything and pretend, because the only thing he really got at was Bill Maher. And I think because he took Bill Maher's criticism personally. If it doesn't affect him personally, he just don't he don't give a fuck. He ain't for freedom of speech. I think he made it clear, I'm a capitalist.
I looked it up. It's called the kafala system.
The kafala system. That's correct. Yeah. Right.
Infamous Del Poo, you got something to say? But I'm gonna retort what you said, Afro-agnostic, if I can retain it. But I want to give you Del Poo.
I really don't have much to say because I didn't get a chance to look at it. I started looking at it earlier, I think like last week, and like I said, I fell asleep because he was just going off about whatever the hell he was going off about. And it was late, and I just fell asleep on the couch. But I know he's a master storyteller and everything. You gotta give him his props there. He knows how to set up a story and bring it back, to life at the end and everything. So I'm gonna check it out and see what's going on with that. But get your money, Chappelle.
Well, and you know what? That kind of comes to where I'm talking about. This whole notion of being sort of like the morality police about, what people do over there. I'm like, when you consider what's been done here, I don't think that you can be sitting there, take the moral high road about what's being done anywhere else. You are a person that's doing your craft. And if you're going to extract money out of it, I mean, it really comes down to what you do with that money. He's just a capitalist, and he basically said he is, like word to when he's talking about the town people coming to him for fixing stuff. But I'm just saying that, money is power. And I would tend to say get money where you can get money and do something positive with it. And maybe that's really the real fault of these people. But I'm just saying that this whole notion of I wouldn't perform for these people, I wouldn't do something. Sometimes you need to expose these other cultures with your art, with your whatever. Maybe you'll be able to help, contribute to people seeing, other people differently. Maybe there's some effect it'll have. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not about policing people's working just for the sake of the politics. Because again, I think the politics are terrible across the board. There are terrible things that happen here. Who are we to be sitting there talking about what they do in Saudi Arabia, especially when you want to go historically as what actually done here? Now, I understand that some people are more third world, more savage, more whatever, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just hypocrisy across the board. Get your money and do something positive with it. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, I just think that performing in a country is different from performing for a country. He's not like artists can come here and perform, but if you perform at the Trump inaugural or you perform at the White House, that's different. So my argument, like, I don't mind him going where
Woo, that was a fire argument right there about the whole Snoop Dogg concede.
Yeah, because you can't be for freedom of speech. You can't be a champion of freedom of speech, and then you're going to perform for Trump when we know Trump is trying to decrease freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you can't go over there and perform, you know, and be that champion. You can perform in the United States, but it's kind of like he did the Trump thing. He just did it for Saudi Arabia. That's what I'm criticizing.
Gotcha. That's valid. I changed my position. So that having been said, what do we got up next? Let's talk about white reparations.
White reparations. Damn.
Okay, so I wish I had the article up to give you the details. Do you remember the particulars about it, Afro-agnostics?
Well, in a nutshell, basically they are, it is an anti-DEI type of policy, and it's a form of compensation for white people. I think on the DOJ, not the DOJ, the DOJ website, there was a video. I didn't catch the entirety of the video, but it's informing, you know, if you're a white man out there that's been discriminated against.
A white man.
Because of DEI, you know, you could apply. And I guess, I don't know how they would prove or measure, but, you know, you can apply to be compensated for your racial discrimination against these white men.
Out effing rageous. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, look, I keep telling you the DEI is not about giving people that don't deserve something that they don't deserve. It's basically about leveling the playing field because people have been benefiting what they didn't deserve for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? It's no point in kind of continuing to make this argument because they're not trying to hear it. The people that understand it, understand it. The people that don't will refuse to. I'm just saying that, you know, you're picking and choosing what you want to do reparations for. You're saying these people are hurt. It's not no get over it. Now it's like, let's compensate these people. And this is what Black people be talking about when they're saying that, look, you guys have generational wealth on our backs, on the backs of our ancestors, you know, things that just give you all these advantages. And we're like, look, we're not necessarily telling you to just give away everything you got. But the bottom line is we should basically direct funds that we pay everybody, you know, we pay taxes too, and to basically leveling the playing field. To basically put us in a position to provide generational wealth. It's not just a function of just pulling yourself from your bootstraps. You know, Trump didn't just pull himself up from his bootstraps. Daddy gifted him a big fund of money to work with, and he lost it, got it back, lost it, got it back. But the bottom line, you have real estate, you have resources to basically recover. So, you know, he was able to go through multiple bankruptcies. And then, you know, there's this real one big hustle that's really put him, you know, up financially. Oh yeah, you know, becoming the president, you know what I'm saying, but kept them out of jail as well. So again, you know, it's not just a function of just pulling yourself from your bootstraps. It's also about, you know, having the resources and having the infrastructure to take advantage of some things. So we're just talking about resources and infrastructure, things that we've earned just, you know, ancestrally and, you know, just by being contributors to the society right now.
Anyone tell me on the panel, what is the number one counter argument to DEI? What is the go-to argument that they...
White people will be hurt. My friends will be hurt. That's what the number one argument is.
I'm not sure.
I got a better question though. Who's supposed to be paying these reparations to these white people?
Well, I noticed at the same time, the DOJ, same Department of Justice, is going after Google. They're going after, we got some other companies because they are claiming that these countries
probably
have
Walmart,
some leftovers of DEI. Some they still implement policies that are akin, not necessarily called DEI, but quote unquote DEI programs. So they're going after them so that they will, you know, they're going to penalize them because that's now against the law. So whereas you would get penalized for racial discrimination, now you're getting penalized for DEI. So I think some of the compensation to those white men, those individuals, is going to come from there.
Okay, so a person just commented and said, you do realize that you have the same opportunities as any successful person, correct? Actually, no. There's this thing called resources. For example, if certain person, let's use Trump for example. His father gave him, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was like millions. He basically said, here, go build up some business, do your thing with it. Those are resources. You know, I don't necessarily just have this. I remember there was a video that I put in the chat where this white lady to explain, and she goes, look, you know, we didn't come up from a very rich family or anything like this, but I'm gonna tell you how, you know, my situation played out. Basically because of programs that benefited my parents back in the day, you know, and they weren't particularly rich or anything, but they were able to acquire real estate, you know, in places that were redlined, whereas Black people had no opportunity. They could not, even if they had the financial resources, they could not live there. They could not finance whatever. They wouldn't allow it to happen. And it's like, you know, ultimately when my parents passed or my father passed, you know, basically what he had to give to us was just this house. So he sold this house and, you know, we got money from it. This, you know, it may not have been a whole bunch, but it got us out of debt. It got us to be able to do some things. And the reality is, it gave us a real edge as far as the things that we're doing now. This is her acknowledging and telling you that, look, you don't have to be Donald Trump to get millions and millions. Just this type of situation can basically put you the big leg up for business because it takes money to make money. That's reality. So it's an issue of resources. And, you know, as Afro-Economics always says, you know, these companies, they're getting all type of government subsidies. Everybody's getting money. They're not just basically just doing it on their own. You know, when the banks were being bailed out for the stuff that they did, that's the government stepping in, going, here, let me save you. So I'm just saying that, you know, we don't all have access to the same resources. So that's a big part of it. But some of us do, like me, myself, my parents, we struggled. You know, my father's a lawyer, but we didn't necessarily have a great, you know, I didn't have necessarily a great financial childhood. You know what I'm saying? My friends used to joke about me not having cable, talking about every other channel was, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, at the end of the day, his parents were rich. They passed. He got a big chunk of money. And I'm just saying that right now, my parents are living the life. You know what I'm saying? And he's been able to help me. I'm in the house because of government program, a first-time buyers program. So I'm just saying that I'm a beneficiary of some things, but I have resources that other people don't have. So I can't just sit there and say, just because I did it, how come you don't do it? No, I got a leg up. My father's an attorney. You know what I'm saying? It's different. My struggle is different. So that's the situation.
And then I just want to add, I think these people are in like some type of, they're on hallucinogens or something. I don't know, but like racial discrimination, is a real thing. Like there's studies, like there are meta-analysis studies. There's a 2023 hiring employment study that was global. Meta-analysis research is the highest apex of research. And they show that, I mean, they basically, this is based on field experiments. They get white, Black people exact identical resumes. And Black people receive 50% less callbacks than white people. So it's not like, if you want to, because I think a lot of these people are really big on meritocracy, you know, everyone having an equal chance and blah, blah, blah. If you don't have some program to mitigate racial discrimination, like what is the program to mitigate racial discrimination? It's going to be, they call it DEI, diversity, what is it?
Equity and inclusion.
And inclusion for a reason, because if you don't have that, you have a homogenous structure. It's all white people. The hiring teams are 70-80% white men. I mean, nepotism is indistinguishable from racism.
Thank you. I was about to get there. You're talking about they did all this work to dismantle DEI, but what are they doing to dismantle nepotism? Because that's going to be that, you know what I'm saying? That's more responsible for a lot of stuff that's going on.
Nepotism, you hire friends and family, and most friends and family of white people are white friends and white family. So if it's indistinguishable from racism, how are you going to counteract that? Well, we're going to just remove DEI. And I remember what Student X used to say, because I'm sorry, I shouldn't do his voice like that. But white women are the main benefactors of DEI, which is true, but they are also the main benefactors of SNAP. So you're going to get rid of SNAP? You're going to throw away the baby just because they benefit the most? Other people benefit as well. And again, the question, how are you going to mitigate? This is not a thing that racial discrimination in employment does not exist. It exists scientifically. To say it does not is you're being unscientific. So how are you going to mitigate that by taking away DEI?
And white women are oppressed too. So again, and the oppressed should get served. That's just the reality.
The least oppressed.
So you got something to say about this infamous El Poo?
The attack on DEI is just saying you niggas and brown people and other people are getting too much. That's all that's saying right there. Let's go ahead and move on from this, man.
Well, we did say that DEI is basically a replacement for the N-word. It's a nice, it's basically a nice thing to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up.
Hey, let's talk about the 49ers playing tonight. Playing the Seahawks. That's gonna be the game tonight, huh? That's gonna be the game tonight.
Who's your quarterback?
Huh?
I don't know who's your quarterback going to be, but yeah, no, he's healthy. Yeah. Go ahead. What's up? You're a resident 49er fan. What's up? You shout out to AB. You and AB, you know, that's what's up.
Shout out to AB. I gotta say, man, I'm surprised that we came as far as we did this year. We had half of our defensive line is just out. Our top players are out, been out for most of the season, and we still pulling it off. If we win this today, I think we would be the #1 seed or got a chance at it or something like that. Either way, I think we're going all the way this year.
They said if y'all win this one tonight, I put 49er or Seahawks. Okay, if y'all win this one tonight, y'all play the home field advantage every game up until the Super Bowl. Man, that's crazy.
We'll see.
My team, we play the Vikings tomorrow. Green Bay plays the Vikings tomorrow, and I believe we're gonna win it. It's gonna be hard, but I think we're gonna win it.
Yeah, you're the one that I was worried about saying who's you're gonna be your QB. You know, is Malik Willis gonna be healthy? You know, so yeah.
Love was out last week. I hope he plays tomorrow. I hope Love.
And Malik Willis looked real good. You know, the ex-Titan. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, we get rid of people and then all of a sudden they do great. Must be something else. A word to Vrabel. You know what I'm saying?
Have any of those teams beat Chicago though? Vikings or Green Bay? This year?
We lost the last time we played the
Bears.
We lost.
They don't be taking that from no Detroit Lions fan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, now I know I ain't talking shit. We sitting there fighting for a top 3 pick. So that's what it is. So enough of this football talk, man. You know. Anyways, have we covered everything? What is this about? 10:06.
You mentioned that Orlando Brown. I thought I saw that video.
Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Orlando Brown has come off for the most part as a certified crazy person to me that I've seen. You know what I'm saying? I do see some, he's an actor. So he's committing to the role that he's playing. But just the fact that he fell out with a lot of people that he was working with. He was part of the Proud Family. When they revived it, they were just like, yeah, we can't F with that dude. He just, this dude is just crazy. And I mean, no, I saw some videos where he was definitely crazy. But the bottom line is the brother said he's sober. You know what I'm saying? He's got a restaurant and, that's a tough business. But all I got to say is I'm rooting for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a positive thing to see a person who went through so much, these videos that were making you look so bad. You know what I'm saying? Homeless, dirty feet and all this other stuff. I'm just saying I'm cheering for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's a great story for me. I hope he wins. That's all I got to say.
Long live Venezuela, Independencia Muerte. Long live Orlando Brown. I don't know, man. He's like very likable though. I don't know why. He just has this likability to him. I don't know.
Hey man, I saw a video of him freestyling over Kendrick Lamar's what's that song? Can't believe that song.
They Not Like Us.
No. What's the other one? I want to say You know, where they be like, you sitting there bobbing their heads, it's like a whole bunch of Kendrick Lamar's in the
trees.
Nah. It's the one where he says, bitch, be humble, be humble, be humble. He killed it. I was like, I remember seeing Born Alive going, what? I know that this dude was like, I'm just saying that, you know, that was a talented dude, you know what I'm saying? So you know, and honestly, even when he was doing the crazy videos, when he was you know, with the microphone and all this stuff, I mean, it was hilariously crazy, hilarious, or whatever. I'm just saying that, you know, the dude is super talented. So I'm rooting for the brother.
Yep. We gotta be positive and we gotta point out the positive as well as we point out the negative. Like saying, oh, he crazy, he on drugs, and if we doing positive, it's good to talk about it. So salute to Orlando Brown.
That's what's up. So that having been said, like, share, subscribe, and look, and all you people that were criticizing, you know, we appreciate your clicks. We appreciate your negative comments. If you just want to watch the show and shit on us all show, thank you very much for that. Do it. And if the comment is cute enough, we don't care if it bashes us. We'll put it up here and we'll talk about it. So again, we thank you. And one person was commenting about saying, you know, we're delusional just because you disagree that, you know, we think you're bots. No, we're saying that some of you may be bots. And if you are bots, like I'm saying, a click is a click. We don't discriminate. So thank you for tuning in. Peace out.